my name is Priya and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint this simple flower. It's a white flower and it's going to be just a relaxed painting session. So you can grab your sketchbook or some watercolor paper and your paints and we can just sketch together. So I started off all my drawings and even a painting with a sketch just as a guideline for where all the petals are going to be. So I'm going very light. You can't really see a lot of the graphite lines that I'm putting down on the paper, but I'm just basically placing all the petals where they're all going to be so that I know where to put the color once I start going in with watercolors. Now, this is completely optional. You can go straight in with paint if you want to, but I just wanted to have an idea of what I wanted the leaves to look like and as well as the petals in the flowers. So I was just including that in my initial sketch. Now once I was done with the sketch, I went in and I started painting the flower. Now we are working on a white paper, so if I paint with white, you're not going to really see it on the paper. So to give it a bit of interest and to let it be more visual where you can see it, I'm starting off with a very light gray color. This is a warm gray and I'm just starting off by painting in all the petals with a very diluted warm gray. Now you can choose which gray you'd like, but I'm keeping it a bit warm because I am adding a bit of a blue-green turquoise color to the petals as well, just to give it a little bit of interest. It's not a realistic flower. It's not something meant to be a realistic looking. It's just meant to be something that looks appealing and it looks nice and it just looks interesting to the eye. So once I started adding in that little bit of turquoise, I went in with a bit more of the pigment of the paint and I went in and added a few lines to the petals. Then I went over with a wet brush just to blend those lines together because they were looking too harsh. And I'm going to be doing the same now for the blue-green or the turquoise color that I'm adding now. So you can see I'm adding that color and then just blending it out. I'm working wet and wet all through this stage of the painting. I'm not really worrying about it being dry. There you can see some of the green starts to spread, but it's easy to just lift off with a dry brush or with your brush. Just dab your brush with the water off from the brush onto paper towel and then just lift off some of that excess color. And then I'm letting that dry. Meantime, while that is drying, I'm just going in with a green just to create the leaves and painting all of the leaves and the stem of the flower. Now, this is a really simple painting, something that shouldn't take you a long time to do. You can just find a couple of minutes to spare and you can just paint in this flower. It's really simple. You can see the strokes are I'm keeping it very simple with the leaves as well. So once I've got in the first layer of the leaves, I'm just going in with a slightly darker or more pigment, more paint and less water of the color that I chose for the green, and I'm just going over the leaves and the stem as well, just to darken some areas to create a bit of variation and tonal values. So you have some areas that are lighter and some areas that are darker, which are more in shadow. So now I am going in with some more of that gray color just on the petals to create a bit of texture to the petals. Now it is almost completely dry. It's still partially damp, but I am using that dampness to slightly get in those textures of the petals. And I'm also still going over with another layer of water just over to smoothen those out a bit so those lines are not too harsh. But you can see because it was partially dry the paper, I am getting those lines showing a bit more through and they're not blending in completely. Now I went in and I just darkened the center of the flower as well as added the little spots for the yellow. Now I felt that the flower looked just too bare on the plain paper, so I decided to add a bit of a background. Now this technique I'm using is the wet and wet technique, so I'm going to be wetting the entire paper with water, or not the entire paper, around the flower according to what the shape of the flower is. Depending on how you want to do it, you could go the whole page as well. I'm just going around the flower, wetting the area, and then using two colors, which is the green that I've used for the leaves as well as the turquoise that I've used for the flower. And I'm just adding that to those wet areas and then just moving the water around with the pigment just to create this sort of a watercolor effect in the background. Also adding a bit of some spots of turquoise here and there just to create that watercolor effect. Now I am blending that through because I realized that it was looking a bit too bright or too spotty. I am going to add some splashes of color later on. So at the moment I just wanted to basically border the flower with some greens and the turquoise, just to give it a sort of a background, so it doesn't look like it's just plain with no nothing happening around it. It just brings a bit more interest to the piece by adding that. So at this stage is when you can see I'm started to add the splashes of the turquoise, and I think the splashes just give it a bit more interest and make the piece look a bit more complete. Some places, if it was a bit dark, you just got to go over the areas. I am working wet in wet. I'm also adding some green splashes as well. Some of it, if it spreads out onto the wet areas, it's not a problem. It adds to the interest of the piece. And there we have the completed flower. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to like and share. Feel free to comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Till the next one, bye.